So
So tell us how there came to be a Source movie. For those of you who missed an earlier part because we had some low volume, I'm going to ask Isis Aquarian and Jodi Woolley, who are here, to tell us about how the Source family came to be, and then how did it become a movie?
It's actually a documentary, and it came to be because of the book that we did. We started, Jodi started meeting other family members, and they ended up little mini interviews. And it came to a point where we went, wow, this we need to do a documentary with this. And so we started doing a few road trips with it.
Right.
And the documentary came into being. We have
a lot of documentaries, feature mostly folks talking about their experiences, and you kind of have to mostly take a trip in your head back to imagine what was happening. My understanding about this is there's a lot of film that somehow you found from the time period. Jodi, could you explain how that came together?
Yeah, when I was working with Isis on the book, and we were interviewing family members for the book, she told me about her archive and what she'd been holding on to for about 40 years of family living. And in the Source family, Isis was the family documentarian, the family historian. So she was in charge of keeping the records.
Right.
She was also a photographer. And took a lot of photographs, and then other people took pictures too, and also people shot Super 8.
Wow.
So when she told me that she had this archive of hours of Super 8 film of the family that they'd shot themselves, and thousands of stills, color and black and white, I just got really excited and went to Hawaii.
Wow.
And just went through all the scrapbooks and all the some of the audio. She had hours of audio, just like field recordings, Father Yod doing his meditation classes, and lots of music that had never been published before.
Right.
And I just knew we had to do a film at that point.
And we just heard some of the music from the new album, Thought Adjusters.
Mm-hmm.
Where could you place that into some kind of perspective, Isis? Where did that part, that chunk of audio come from?
They were different takes of music that was found in the archives. We call it the lost music, and Drag City's putting it out. They were different band members jamming.
Okay.
Some of it was Spirit of 76. Some of it was just the musicians jamming with different other musicians. A lot of it was with Father,
All right.
with some backup singers. The Source family was... musically was much, much more than just Yehovah 13.
Right.
People are familiar with Yehovah 13 because that's what we released in the vinyl forms. And, of course, it was Father's signature band, but the Thought Adjuster does have Father jamming and singing with other family musicians, which is so exciting to me.
How did it come about that you had different ensembles? You had Robin, who also sang. You had different folks. How did you guys apportion the studio time? Because you had a studio in your mansion, right?
Yeah, we turned the garage into a full-on studio. Well, we had professional musicians who came into the family.
Right.
You knew who they were, and it formed very quickly who had singing ability, who had musical ability. And they would, the family just hanging around would jam and sing with each other. So they started forming their own energy.
Right.
And it got to where all the music we did was pretty much spontaneous anyhow. Some of it was rehearsed, like with Spirit of 76. But there was a lot of free-flowing among everybody.
Right.
So everybody could pretty well play and jam with each other.
And there was like some sort of force that kind of attracted those talented people to you all. And I mean, not everyone had met Father. What do you think the main things were that drew people to the Source family?
It was, we were a little bit of everything. The food, the restaurant, the vegetarianism, meditation, spirit. The 60s and 70s were the time of a great spiritual awakening. People were finding gurus or, the yogi energy. We found Father. And so there was a lot. And so it brought in It brought in women who wanted to feel secure, who wanted to be respected. It brought in the whole matriarchal and patriarchal balance that Father gave us. It brought in children. We had natural home births, so it brought in, the child rearing. It brought in the music, the musicians. It brought in very creative artists. We had extremely creative people in the family. Designers, our clothes.
Right. Now, Jodi, something that's interesting to me, you know something about the whole Los Angeles filmmaking community, and there are clips, I understand, the movie of people like Woody Allen and Diane Keaton coming by and using the exterior of the Source for Annie Hall. And how did they choose you guys, or the Source restaurant? What was it about that drew the movie people to it?
Well, Isis can probably speak on this too, but for me, what I know from interviewing people is that, the restaurant was right on the Sunset Strip, first of all, which was a very popular place. It was a really lively, area of town. But Jim Baker, who became Father Yod, was a very successful restaurateur. Before he started the Source, he had two other restaurants, the Aware Inn and the Old World. Okay. And both of those restaurants were frequented by celebrities, by famous people, movie stars, rock stars. Wow. And so he had a following before he started the Source. The Aware Inn was one of the first, maybe the first organic gourmet restaurant in the United States. Mm-hmm. And that was opened in the 50s. And then the Old World was opened in, what was it, Isis, like 65 maybe? Yeah. Around 65, and that was more like casual European kind of healthy. All of them were healthy cuisine, like local, organic, grass-fed beef. But then with the Source, he went vegetarian, and he started raw. The Source was founded in 1969, so a lot of his fans, from the other restaurants came to the Source. But then there were also a lot of younger people, a lot of younger, hippies there.
Now I've heard that the 50s, the Where In restaurant, and somehow Jim Baker, before he was Father, was tied into the Nature Boys, like Eden Abez and all those guys. What do you know about that, Isis?
He would go up and hang out with them up in Topanga Canyon and embrace their philosophy of nudism and being free and being back to nature and eating off the land and eating, vegetarian. Gypsy Boots remained a very good friend, and and Anna Marie Benstrom, and
we should just say a lot of people don't know who the Nature Boys are.
Okay.
The Nature Boys were this sort of proto-hippie group. They were like the West Coast beatniks that existed on the West Coast only in the 40s and early 50s. And Jack LaLanne, Gypsy Boots were two of the most famous ones, and then of course the Nature Boy song that Nat King Cole made popular. But when like Kerouac and Burroughs and all of these East Coast people were like, shooting up and drinking a lot of alcohol and beating their wives and writing stuff and engaging in petty crime, the West Coast contingent of the counterculture were doing something really different. They were like running around naked, living in caves, wild, foraging for their food in the wild and having a really good time. Right. And those were the people who helped to forge the health movement. Right. So Jim Baker was very, very inspired by them.
That's fantastic.
Actually, Jim Baker was known as a food guru.
Oh.
Yeah, he's now being called a cult hero, but back then he was a legend within his own time, even before the Source.
He was very well known.
So we're talking about the Source family, which is the subject of a fantastic documentary, and I'm going to read you some information about, first of all, the movie you should go to by Jodi, and featuring in a very great way Isis Aquarian and all the archives she has put together and kept throughout the years. July 8th at 8:30 at Harvard Exit Theater.
No, June.
I'm sorry, June. I'm sorry, there's a 7 there. And sorry. I'm just following.
Sorry.
I'm just a pretty talking head with no brain at all, and I'm just reading the thing. You are so right, Isis, as always. June 8th at 8:30 at Harvard Exit Theater, and June 10th at 11 a.m. at Harvard Exit Theater as part of the Seattle Film Festival, a fantastic group of folks. Also at the Wall of Sound, what a great place that is. Fantastic tunes you can find there, very otherworldly. June 7th at 6 p.m. there's a book signing because the Source family, there's a book about it, and Isis wrote it with electricity, and Jodi put together for her imprint. And does that edition also still have the CD in the back?
It does. So if you get the book now, I don't know if we'll probably put the CD in the next edition, but we still have some of those books left. So if you come to Wall of Sound, you will get a bonus CD with the book, which has things like Father Yod and Yehoah 13 performing live at Beverly Hills High School in 1973, and Family Chants, and some songs that don't exist anywhere else, and him talking too. Yeah, a lot of really good stuff. Interview with Elliot Mintz.
Well, you were going to say something also about Elliot Mintz, who is known as the minder of Paris Hilton.
He was. I think he got fired.
Oh, well. Well, I'm sorry for her.
Yeah.
Because I understand he's a really great guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, you can get information about Yehoah, or the Source family, via Yehoah.org, and it's YAHOWHA.org. And you know how to spell org. Or at the sourcedoc.com or the Source Documentary on Facebook. And those are great places. And by the way, this part of our message we'll repeat later in case you missed it. So please hurry out of the room and then come right back with pen and paper as we do more things, talk more with Isis and Jodi Willie. So Jodi, who's the target audience for this film? Who do you want to see this film?
You know, it's been really interesting. Oh, by the way, I want to just mention that I didn't direct this film alone. I actually have another director who's one of my oldest friends, and she's this incredible commercial director. Her name's Maria Demopoulos, and she definitely had a very strong hand making this film as well. So we send our best out to Maria. The core audience of this film is actually it's similar in some ways to the fans of the music in the book. So we have a lot of kids in their 20s and 30s who are into psych music and neo folk music or whatever you want to call it. They're into all kinds of counterculture stuff and fringe culture. So people in their 20s and 30s and 40s who are interested in interesting, good, weird, amazing stuff. But what's been really great about showing this film at festivals, because we've been to a bunch of festivals now, is we find that a lot of baby boomer people, and we made this for them too. When we were making it, I was making it for the Source family members and for our core audience, but also for a much broader audience, and those people are the people who actually experience this period in our culture that's been widely misunderstood and underrepresented, and that's this period between 1969 and 1975. I like to call it's like this period that people don't talk about or write about, but I find it's sort of after the hippie dream died, the flower power dream died. Manson happened, Altamont happened, and what went on then was a lot of these hippies, a lot of these people who were dreamers, a lot of these people who were some of the bright lights of the generation, they got a little bit paranoid, a little bit apocalyptic. They realized that the protests weren't really doing what they were going to do. And, most people think, well, the hippies gave up then. Well, they really didn't. A lot of them, what they did was they're like, we're going to get out of the city. We're going to go start a commune out in New Mexico. We're going to go to Drop City. We're going to do this. We're going to start a collective. We're going to start a community. So they started building these communities all over the country, but also in the cities too. So some people, like the Source family, stayed in the city, and there were people in Seattle that did this as well. The Love Israel family, of course, they knew the Source family, and a lot of these people did communicate with each other. But what most people don't realize, that the media would like us to believe that these groups, these people getting together and these radical social experiments were failures. Well, that is the biggest lie perpetrated by popular culture and by journalists, from my direct experience meeting these people, researching these people, and reading between the lines. You've got people like Steve Jobs and Stuart Brand who came out of this culture. Steve Jobs was a communal hippie. He was living on a commune. He had a guru. He was doing all kinds of alternative things back then. Stuart Brand, he published the Whole Earth catalog.
Sure.
There's a lot of really exciting stuff happening during that period. I think of it as like a cultural incubator, these groups. And so there were a lot of people who were thinking like, this old world is bunk. They were recognizing like the stagnation of what was going on with the government and industry, and they were like, we're going to make our own world, a world we want to live in. And the Source family was part of that. So we've had a lot of those people from that age group come up to us after the movie saying, wow, oh my God, thank you. This is like finally a movie about, the 70s that got it, that like spoke to that impulse, So I'm really honored, to do that.
And one of the things that I'm coming to appreciate more was my agreement with Jodi when we did this, that it would not be whitewashed, that it would not be another insider take on, a communal insider take. And
so you'd have diverse and
it is
points of view.
so conflicting, diverse, and people that weren't even in the family. I don't agree with everything that people said because it's not the way I saw it, but they were allowed their reality. And that's what she was talking about when people say, oh my God, thank you. They didn't see just another insider whitewashed story of a communal family.
Or just an outsider's demonization, because that's what usually happens. You have people who weren't there, who have like their limited ideas about what went on, and so you have the demonization, but then, the other films can often be whitewashed, and so we wanted to make a film that felt balanced and allowed everybody with different perspectives to be able to, give their story.
So, usually documentaries, like any film, have some sort of an arc. And Isis, what was one of the high points of the documentary that you think that people can identify with?
I think I don't know if there was like a high point for me. Are you talking to the wrong person? Because it was all, high for me. I just think people will be able to experience through the home movies, Father's voice, us talking and relating. They got to see our true life as we lived it, as we spoke it. And, Father's a powerful being when you see him.
Yeah, hearing his voice, like people I've talked to, who are fans and people who didn't even know about the Source family, what they seem to really love the most about the film is the mass of archival footage that the family members shot themselves, hearing Father Yode's voice speak. But then I would say that like the three high points of the film are, I just can't believe Isis captured this. It's like mind-blowing. We have a home birth, a live birth. Captured on film with like in the commune with Father Yode delivering the baby. It almost dies. It's very dramatic. And we also have we've got the Source. We've got Yehovah 13 performing live at Beverly Hills High School in 1973 with on film, which is like crazy. It's unbelievable to see that.
That's the same.
Set
that they did that's in the book.
It is, we've got the sync film to it. It's crazy. And then what we also have, which Isis did, was she actually recorded the last day of Father Yode's life when he went hang gliding. So believe it or not, we have audio from the actual scene of him up on the cliff getting ready to hang glide, and then what happened when he landed.
That gives you a chill thinking about that.
Yeah, it's very intense. It's really wild. It really makes you feel like you were there. So we were just blessed with this treasure trove of stuff that Isis saved.
Yes.
And actually, what's really exciting is the family gets to see it. And the children that were born they just heard about it. They get to now see it. The partners get to see it. And we've had people say, now I understand what my wife or my husband has been trying to tell me all these years. Or the kids go, okay, hey, now I understand it. Thank you.
Well, why do this is a very brave thing to do because it exposes a lot of just the inner family stuff. Why do you think, there's been so many leaders, gurus, charismatic figures who were, gathered folks, young folks around them. Why haven't they done it? And why? Because, you've got Rajneesh, you've got hundreds of these guys.
They have done it, but it's been an in-house thing, and it didn't really. It became with the followers. It never reached a mass audience, and that's what the brilliance of St. Jodi is, because.
Is that the name around the film studio?
Yeah, that's the name, because she really did perform a miracle with this. She crossed the line and took it out of that genre and made it for the public.
Right.
Something that everybody could know about, relate to, and know that it was not a whitewash thing. It's something everybody could relate to.
And who really helped with that was Maria, my co-director, because Maria, for me, I'm so deep in it with the Source family because Isis and I have been working together since the book came out, and I tell people, I drank the Kool-Aid. Like, I looked at the Source family and I was just like, oh my gosh, these people, this is genius. Like, this is something that I did not experience growing up in the 80s and 90s, like nothing even close to this. It was so extraordinary, and even though there were there were dark elements to it, to me the unbelievable vision and creativity and just like joy of life that they expressed, to me was supreme. But Maria had like a slightly different view. She's got a child, and she's like, these women were, Father Yod was having sex with women who were, 16, and she's right. There are different angles, to look at it. And so I thank Maria, and I also thank our editor Jen Harrington, who's just this like incredible editor who also had an outside point of view that just helped keep things balanced so we could really broaden it for a general audience without hiding any of the radical stuff, which is great, and also keeping ultimately I think what people appreciate about this is you really see that no matter how wild and how crazy things got in the Source family, Father Yod was always able to maintain his integrity and honesty with the family. So even though he might have had his Jim Baker side kind of show every once in a while, he really, people still love him to this day, and I think that's what makes this film more powerful too, because most people look at a film about a cult and they're like, oh, all cult leaders are bad, all cults are bad. It just isn't the case. A lot of these were, they were groups that were utopian groups. They were deeply spiritual groups with cultic aspects. It doesn't mean that they were bad necessarily. In fact, they transformed the lives of many of the people in there. Yeah.
So let's talk about let's take a brief break, and we'll play Sleepyheads from the Thought Adjusters LP, a double LP, or double fantasy as you called it. Sorry, John and Yoko. And then we'll play some of that, and then we'll come back because I want to ask you about the experience of taking this film to the film festivals, because SIFF is not. That's what insiders call Seattle International Film Festival. SIFF is not the only place it's been to, and I'd like to get some of that. I want to especially get Isis's take on South by Southwest. So that would be fantastic. So let's listen to Sleepyheads, and we'll be back with Jodi Willie and Isis Aquarian from The Source. And we're back live on Under the Influence, and we're here with Jodi Willie, one of the co-directors of The Source documentary, and with Isis Aquarian, Archivist Supreme, and the person who experienced the Source family from its beginnings and to its end, and contributed, as we heard, a lot of Source family footage that I'm just really excited and kind of a bit possibly awestruck to see, because I'm hearing for the first time some of the stuff that's in it. But before we get to that, I want to repeat some of these things. They're very important. If you want more information about the Source family, please go to Yahowa.org, and that's YAHOWHA.org, org. And you can also get information about the Source family documentary at thesourcedoc.com or the Source Documentary on Facebook. That's the big FB, y'all. And at the Wall of Sound record store, it's a fantastic place, 6 p.m. on June 7th, there'll be a book signing with Isis Aquarian at the Pen. And there'll be records there to sign as well, I think, some of the Jehovah 13 stuff. And Jodi Willie's going to be there too, so you get a twofer. And that's Jodi's will be available for signing that because she was the brilliant mind behind putting this together as a book. And then Isis was the pen, who, along with Electricity, wrote the book. And it's a fantastic read. I read it in one sitting in the lush and lavish Under the Influence Studios in the exotic West Seattle, y'all. And there'll be screenings of the Source movie at the Seattle International Film Festival, SIFF for the Cognoscenti, June 8th at 8:30 at Harvard Exit Theater. That's Harvard Exit Theater. And then June 10th at 11 a.m. at the Harvard Exit. And you should all go. And if not, you should be very, very ashamed of yourself. But let's ask some more questions. So something that I wanted to know, now Isis, you did the tour. You took the movie to South by Southwest. What was the Austin experience like?
Austin was phenomenal. Just the city of Austin. You know, I loved going there. Our film, our reputation somehow preceded us because we were told by the gentleman who's the head of the Austin Film Festival that he had only 2 films on his list, and we were one of them.
Wow.
I know. And we were in a theater that was a 600 capacity, and we were told that we were the only ones that filled it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and there were people lined up that couldn't even get in.
Right.
So it was a phenomenal experience, and it was the one time that pretty much the whole working crew got together.
Oh, okay.
You know, there was Electricity and I, and Maria and Jodi, and the producers. You know, all of us, our PR person, the editor, and we were able to stand together as a solid unit. We haven't all been together, and just kind of honor each other and go on the red carpet together.
Nice.
You know, have our picture taken.
Oh,
so it was our premiere.
So what do Texans want to know about the Source family? Give me a for instance.
I mean, Austin's a weird town. They love the Source already. They were ready for it, you know.
Yeah, they have the consciousness for it.
They do. I mean, Austin is like, there are a lot of people into that stuff there, and just a lot of people into psych music and noise, and so there were a lot of Jehovah 13 fans already, and it was very popular. We sold out all of our screenings there and had people who couldn't get in. So we love Austin. It was great. For me, it's been fun going to different parts of the country because you know, we've been to the San Francisco Film Festival. Right. We went to the Maryland Film Festival in Baltimore, which was really cool. The people are great there. That was one of my very favorite festivals. Mm-hmm. And then we also showed it in Ohio at the Athens International Film Festival, which is where I went to school at Ohio University. So for me, some of the greatest thrills about showing the movie is just seeing how people see it in different parts of the country. And in Boston, we didn't go to Boston yet, but in Baltimore, I had this guy come up to me afterwards, and he was like, I saw Adam Parfrey's name, on the film, because Adam is a co-producer, on the film. And he was like, that's really cool. He's affiliated with this. We've got a really strong Church of Satan chapter here, and blah, 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 blah. And so I was like, oh, cool, a Satanist loves our movie. And then we went to Ohio, where my parents came to see the movie, and my mom decided to bring the Presbyterian minister of their church to the movie, and I was like, oh my God, what's this person going to say? Right. And after the film, the minister came to me, and she was like, I loved this movie. This was phenomenal. And she said that it was when she was coming of age, so it was really a deep film for her. And she was writing a paper on spirituality and young people. So I just love being able to tell people that both a Presbyterian minister from Ohio and a Satanist from Baltimore love the movie.
Right. That's amazing. Well, that's quite a demographic. That's a demographic that any entrepreneur would fight for.
Oh yeah. Oh, and 65-year-old church ladies came too and loved it. Amazing. So that's to me, that's the most fun,
What was I'm curious because when SIFF decided to branch out to Everett, which it's a great venue, but I was curious about. We see Seattleites, Everett is kind of some far-flung outpost against that big swath of green stuff that leads to Canada. So what did people in Everett have to say? What was that showing like?
The staff were very excited about it, and they all came up afterwards and just profusely thanked us. And in fact, we couldn't even get out of the theater we were having our own little gathering at a restaurant, and just nobody would let us go.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, Everett people were really lovely, actually.
Yeah.
So we were happy that they brought the source out there, so they didn't have to drive in and see it. And then the director of the festival was there, and she introduced the film and got to see it, Beth. And she was great. And but the most exciting thing I thought about being in Everett was that we had 5 Source family people there, and a number of whom went to live with the Love Israel family afterwards.
Okay, the Cross family.
Yeah. And the coolest thing for me, like what blew my mind afterwards, was going to dinner with like 12 of these people. So there was Isis, there was Omni from the Source family, and Omni joined the Ramtha group. So he's like a student of Ramtha.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and he brought a friend who's a Ramtha student, and then Makushla in the family, who became Translucence in the Love family, and then also became a Ramtha student, was there. And then one who was the mime in the family and joined the Love family, and then Sirius from the Love family. So it was very interesting listening to these people who had been in different groups talking about their experience, processing it, because the film is really making people see things, I think, differently, right, Isis, for the first time, and that was mind-blowing, just having all those people together talking about it.
Now, without tipping your hat very much, there's some talk about getting a distribution deal and doing something, and not every documentary that goes to festivals get those offers.
Yeah.
Why do you think, the traditional business people that have cigars in their mouth and say, sweetheart, every 3 cents, why do they want this film?
I don't know, but they do. I'm just grateful that they do. We're just talking. We're talking to people. You know what I think it is? I think that they see it as an authentic film about a period that hasn't been fully captured on film before this way.
Right.
There are so many bad hippie movies
Yes.
out, and a lot of documentaries that don't fully capture it. And I think that the people we've been talking to seem to appreciate that. And I think they appreciate that it's balanced. But, really, the archival footage, the Source family was so outlandish, you almost couldn't believe it was real if you didn't see the footage that they captured themselves.
Right.
And I think that's really what appeals to the broader audience. It's this just really unusual social experiment that you can see as if you were there, because it was captured on film and audio. Yeah.
Also, they're business people too, and they also are picking up on the fact that the Renaissance is happening of the 60s and 70s, and it's starting to come on hot and heavy. We were just kind of like first out of the gate.
Right.
And we're just hearing, bands are now calling themselves the Cult.
Right.
There are movies being made now that are trying to do what we did.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird. There's a very big cult, and everybody seems to want to be a witch right now. Did you notice that? I don't know. It's big in LA.
I want to tap into some sort of otherworldly yet non-threatening.
It's just
patriarchal source of power.
Yeah.
And the fashion is back. I mean, you see tie-dye everywhere. All the airports I've been going to, all over the country, little kids, everybody. I mean, everybody's in tie-dye again. And I look at people and I'm going, my God, it looks just like the 70s. Yeah. Everybody with their long hair, and everybody's carrying a guitar,
So let's segue you, because I had set up a connection with Josh, another DJ from here, when you were out kind of teaching with Michael Sepris, the fashion guru genius. And so there's some kind of connection there with bringing that tradition back.
Yes, Michael is a designer. He's also a teacher at the university. And he's getting ready to implement a line.
Oh, okay.
And part of it from the 60s and 70s influence, the couture.
Counter couture?
Yeah, counter couture, I think he's calling it. And we're going to do some signature Father Yod pieces and Source pieces inspired from the Source. And he wore some of it at the Everett showing and came up on stage with it. some of the stuff he's already done. So I'm extremely excited about it, and so is he.
Right. Now, you remember, this is just a request, it's a suggestion. You know, I'm full of unsolicited suggestions. Do you remember that painting I sent you an image of by my friend Clarita Hinojosa of Father and the hang glider? I sent that to you via Facebook. I really hope that somehow you can use that, because that in one of these fashion things, because to me that image is amazing, considering this is a young woman that is an artist around town, but has no connection with you guys other than what you've seen on the internet.
I have found actually people are drawing all kinds of things on the Source and Father, and I'm just finding them. People are sending them to me, or I'm finding them by accident, or like your friend, and I get in touch with these people, and they just kind of like, I don't know, I was just inspired, or it came to me, or and phenomenal work.
This piece in particular, I don't know if you guys have time, the multitude of Under the Influence listeners should check this out at Radar Hair and Record. It's a great place to get your hair cut or buy a record. And it's in this big warehouse space near the stadiums. And the image, it looks small on Facebook. It's actually about, 10 feet by
Oh my
7
God!
feet.
Thank you. I want to go. I want to
go.
go.
No, it's fantastic.
Yeah. I'll go. I'll go check it out.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, and again, it is a testimony to what you're saying, that somehow these images have become imprinted, and folks are doodling them or drawing them or kind of almost graffitiing them. It's pretty amazing.
We do have a very famous graffiti artist out of L.A. Mirror One is his name. He's called the Michelangelo of graffiti, and I cornered him one day. And talked him into, looking at the book and stuff. It took him 5 minutes, and he goes, I'm in.
Wow.
I don't know who you are, but you just, flipped me,
That's so cool.
So he is, we're going to be doing some work where he's going to be doing a graffiti wall.
Right. Well, I love that T-shirt that now my kid has and won't get back to me, but called, with Father on it, just saying, just be kind.
Oh, the brown one. Yeah, we have to reprint those. A lot of people are asking for that.
It's a beautiful image.
Yeah. Isis Aquarian Tees on Facebook will have all of that.
Okay. Is that, so just go to Isis Aquarian Tees on Facebook?
Uh-huh.
Wonderful.
We have a belt and some other stuff, too.
Okay. So, Jodi, we were mentioning offline, we were mentioning about one of the contributions of this movie and in the archives that Isis has put together is this reservoir of spirituality. What do you think? I mean, that this is a pretty spiritually devoid time period we're in. What do you think the impact is going to be as people see this kind of material by reading or listening to the music, seeing the movie?
It's interesting. I feel like in some ways we're in a spiritually devoid time for a lot of our culture, but then I see so many young people especially, and people who went through it in the 60s and 70s who are spiritually, who are very aware already, or who are really interested, or who are hungry for it. And my hope is that people will see this movie and see the film, and be like some of the people who have been inspired by it, who I know down in Los Angeles. These very interesting artists and musicians and writers who they look at the Source family, and it's not like they want to go join a group or have a leader, but what they see is that the Source family really had this very interesting take on what it meant to live a good, meaningful life, and that involved eating healthy and purifying, the mind, body, and spirit, and being of service to humanity. That was really one of their main goals, and I think that there are a lot of people right now who look at the world, and we're in such a mess, and they want to go deeper inside themselves, and they want to find new ways to be, and new ways to move forward, and having an anchor, believing in something bigger than yourself, and also, recognizing that there is magic in the world that is real, and mystery that's never fully understood. That's inspiring for a lot of people and anchoring. So I hope that, maybe this film might inspire some people in that way, just like the Source family has through their books and music.
Right. What do you think?
You know, I don't think we're spiritually devoid. I mean, when you said that, I just went, "Are you kidding me? You have everything of eons at your fingertips with
Right,
the internet. There is absolutely no more secrets. You can find out anything that you want.
Right.
I mean, you have the whole library of Alexandria at your fingertips.
Yes, I see what you
And
mean.
I mean, it's like there is nothing that you cannot know or find out. You know, I mean, you could go on YouTube and spend hours just clicking on part 1, part 2, part 3 and find something so interesting.
Yes, yeah, that's
You know,
true.
quantum physics right now is just like explaining everything.
Right. Now, recently, you guys probably don't know this, but there was this terrible event here in Seattle. There was a shooting in the arts community here. It was really awful. And I know you guys in the Source family, and you know, probably I know we went through some dark times and came out of it whole, not only intact but maybe better than before. Do you have any? Because you know, some of my younger listeners, they're probably kind of suffering a little bit due to this tragic event thing. Do you have anything that you could offer them, or anything you've learned?
We don't. We're all on our own journey in our own grade level. My take on it is that life's a school, and you have to pass your own exams. So it's like, man, you just got to ante up somehow and figure it out and do it, because it is all there for you. And surround yourself with people that are in that frequency that can, you know, pull you up, or inspirational things that you can find to keep, to keep your sanity somehow.
Right.
But
I mean, for me, what I like about the Source family's belief system and esoteric spirituality in general is that it's all about this notion that we are eternal beings. You know, we all have like the spark of God inside of us. We don't have to go somewhere to get it. It's right here within us, and it's all a matter of, you know, clearing out your mind and your body and allowing yourself to just listen and figure that out. And the notion that life is a journey, that we're here maybe multiple times, you know, and every lifetime is an opportunity to learn and grow wiser until your next lifetime. I don't know, there's something about that to me that's a very sustainable belief system, you know, and it makes tragic events, you know, it gives you a broader perspective to look at things like that, and to understand the impact and what it means to you and how it's going to, you know, you can take tragedy, and if you can over time find, you know, learn something from that or find a way to heal from that, then it becomes something that can ultimately be, you know, useful and meaningful. Yeah.
And I also, my personal belief on this whole thing with 2013 and everything that's happening is it's an upgrade. I feel that we're going into a frequency of a new program. And I do feel that the old program is not going to work anymore. And I think that's what we're feeling, is that shift that's already happening.
The positives and the negatives.
Yeah, and just a whole new frequency and program upon us for the, you know, the upgrade, the upliftment of everything, you know. It's an evolutionary process, I feel, from being a human to a spiritual being.
Right. Hey, before we go and sign off, because I think you ladies you've been soldiers, you put in nearly an hour on this, and thank you. What a fantastic interview. Would you all be able to hang on just for a few minutes to do a station ID? Because I'm trying to make an internal discipline with me to ask everybody to do a station ID, and I always forget. Used to always forget because I'm old. Hey, so let's say that I was my target demographic, which is the educated young hipster out there, totally plugged in all the time.
Yeah.
They've got 100 events to go to because Seattle's become that kind of town. Why should they come to see y'all's movie? What would really, let's bottom line it to that young demographic.
I don't think anybody should do anything. But
Yeah.
if they have not been inspired from anything that they heard, then it's not for them.
Right.
You know, a person knows.
I see.
You know, it's just that sixth sense that everybody has, or they'll curiosity, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
They will leave not the same as when they came. I will guarantee you that.
Yeah, that's a very good reason to see it. We can promise you that you'll see things you've never seen in your life. You're going to hear some ideas too that maybe you haven't considered in your life, and you will come out a little bit different than when you came in.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, Jodi Willie.
Thank you.
From Process Media, and thank you, Isis Aquarian, for shooting me the peace sign from the Source family, and I want everyone who's within the sound of my voice now or at the rebroadcast to go to see this fantastic movie at the Harvard Exit June 8th and June 10th. And thank you for listening to this special edition of Under the Influence. We're under the influence of the Source.